I can't go into it right now, but next year I'm doing 4 single barrels.
Mm. Mm.
4 single barrels honoring my grandfather.
Mm.
And later on, when I do it, I'll let you guys know.
Let's go.
And he said, "That's life, boy." I said, "What you mean that's life?" He said, "That first drink, you was in a hurry, you was rushing, and you crashed and burned. That
Mm.
second drink, you took your time and you relaxed and you enjoyed it. That's your life." He said, "Slow down and relax. If you do that, you'll have a nice, pleasant life." Like I said, Oakland, it's always gonna be, the place that made me. It
For
made me
sure.
to where I know life ain't easy and ain't supposed to be easy. It ain't easy for
Mhm.
nobody, even the people who born with the golden spoon in their mouth. Life ain't easy for them.
Correct.
They got issues, but it tells you that you can't give up. You
Yeah.
already know you're gonna be hard, so you're
Yep.
not gonna give up. You're gonna keep pushing. I'm like, "So granddaddy, are you famous?" He driving the car. I'm a motherfucking star.
All right, man. Legacy Lounge. Sometimes people want to talk.
We have an incredible guest here.
What's up, brother?
The definition of the Legacy Lounge is the stuff that he's putting together. He's a great community leader. His story is amazing.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the lounge. We're at episode 37, and we got a fun one here. The founder of John Lee Hooker Legacy Spirits, Glenn Thomas.
How you doing?
How you doing, big
Thank
dog?
you guys for allowing me to come to bless your lounge here. Been looking forward to it.
Man, well, welcome to the lounge, man. And I wanted to really start off with your product, your mission, and just kind of read this so our listeners know and we can get the backstory for it.
Okay.
John Lee Hooker's Legacy Spirits, a tribute to the king of the boogie. Every sip tells a story of passion, authenticity, and a shared love for music and bourbon. That's a powerful statement right there, man.
Because people know my grandfather. He was the king of the boogie, John Lee Hooker. But to me, he was just granddaddy, and that was the thing we did. Once I turned 21, and I'll tell you that story in a minute, but I had my first glass of bourbon with him.
Uh-huh.
But when I would go visit him, we would sit up there and pour a little bit of bourbon, one glass, and maybe sip on it for a couple hours, and I would just talk to him, listen to his stories and all of this. So that became our thing.
Man.
And so when I would have the moments, I would always, like a little glass of bourbon, and just it allows me to reflect and decompose. And so I want to do something to honor him.
Man.
Where was your grandfather from?
Let me give you the whole route.
Yeah, please do.
Start off in Mississippi.
Mm.
Then he ran away from home a couple times at 14, brought back, and then he made up to Memphis. From Memphis, he made up to Ohio, Illinois, and settled in Detroit in the 40s.
Mm.
From there, he left Detroit, went over to Europe.
Mm.
And because it's funny, he didn't know how famous he was in Europe until someone told him. And so he took that big bird across the water, and where he met a young Rolling Stone group who used to open for him, Eric Clapton. I can't think of his name, but a lot of the Animals, a lot of them European acts worshiped his music, and they used to open for him. And he went over to Europe and then came back and settled in California.
Do you know what made him want to go out to Europe?
Yeah, because he wasn't making no money here. He wasn't making no money here because you got to think back then, blues in the United States was going away because, they changed rock and roll, this and that. But in Europe, all those groups over there, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, they appreciated the music. So he went over there and became a mega star over there, and he, that's where he went. He didn't know, somebody told him you need to go to Europe.
Yeah.
And he scraped up his money and went to Europe. And then he said, once he got to Europe, he said he was working all the time. He's met these young groups, these young artists, and he was just, and now these people are the biggest music people in the world.
Yes.
And the great thing I like about them, especially the Rolling Stones, and they really pay homage to my grandfather in a lot of this stuff. I met the Rolling Stones and did not know who they were at a young age. And that's one of my favorite stories. So I grew up in East Oakland, like you.
Yes, sir.
And I went to Frick And
Frick.
Frick Junior High
Let's
School. And
go.
I remember we used to have these football games. You know, back then when kids played outside. So we had street football games. And so my grandfather would come pick me up on a weekend and pick me up on Fridays and stay for the weekend. And so he normally come pick me up later.
Mhm.
And this one particular day he came early. I'm like, why you here so early? You know, I'm 12, 13, asking a lot of questions, you know, because I need to know. And so he said, I'm going to see some of my friends perform and I got to pick you up early, you know. So we go. I said, can you come get me afterwards? I got a football game. Very important.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, no, you're going to get your butt in the car now or you're not coming. All right. So I got in the car. So we leave. I grew up by the East Mile Mall. So we driving down 73rd to the freeway. We pull off in Oakland Coliseum. I'm like, we're going to Oakland Coliseum. I thought you were going to see your friends play. I'm going to see my friends play. Who you know playing? You know, I'm 12, 13.
Asking all the questions.
And it wasn't the arena, it was a stadium. And so I'm like, okay, cool. We go up in there and he gave me a little talk. Glenn, don't be asking a whole lot of questions. I would just you know how to act.
Yeah.
Okay, I know how to act. We get up in there, we pull around all these cars and we go through a player interest, right? And then we go in there, so we drive underneath the Coliseum and we go up in there and I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
Here? What you doing, old man, while we here? And he's like, Glenn, okay. So we go inside and these people see him, they're going crazy. I'm just like, what's up? Because I knew he did music, but I really didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't really know.
Yeah.
And so we get up in there and we get inside and this tall, white English guy come over. Hey, Johnny, I'm glad you can make it. Run and hug him. And they hug and I'm looking at my grandfather, Giddy. He ain't never laughed this much. I ain't never seen a man laugh this much.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he said, hey, Glenn, this is my friend Mick. Mick, this is my grandson, Glenn. How you doing, Mr. Mick? Shake his hand. No clue who this man is. Because it's a total and backstory. My grandfather, I knew, like, you know, back then the Hells Angels was in Oakland.
Yep.
And they were real close to my grandfather because his best friend had a record store in Oakland on Foothill, Foothill Seminary. And so it was right next door to the Hells Angels Club.
Oh, right
you know,
there. I know exactly
and
what you're talking about.
so I knew it. So I'm seeing all these type of Hells Angels people. So I went, okay, this is people. And then we go into the dressing room and this white guy just floated on the couch. No shirt, jeans, Jack Daniel bottles all over the place. Bunch of women. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
And then Mick say, Mick said, Keith, Johnny's here. He was able to make it. He pop up, right? And I'm like, man, I thought this dude was knocked out or something. He'd go over there and say, hey, you know, Johnny, they hugging, you know, once again. And then he said, hey, little man, how you doing? I'm Keith. I said, how you doing, Miss? I'm Glenn. I'm Glenn. I said, how you doing, Mr. Keith? I'm Glenn. And, you know, they going on to my grandfather's, you know, now I'm seeing all the different people around, you know, like young women running around, all this type of stuff. So John Lee wants to go off. He said, hey, Keith, can he stay back here in your dressing room? Yeah, that's fine. And like I tell people, you laughing because you get it. I said, today, that would be child abuse. Leaving me with Keith Richards.
No, that's not why I'm laughing.
Oh, man.
Grandpa wanted to go off and have some fun. That's why I'm laughing.
Granddaddy loved the women. And so he leave me back there with Keith Richards. And so they getting ready. You know, I'm just sitting there eating a little food.
Yeah.
You know, just having a good time. So then they get this lady start hanging out with me because they're going to get ready. And she's asking me, oh, how's your a bunch of cousins about my grandfather. I'm like, yeah, lady, just a granddad.
Yeah.
So do you know how you know them? I'm like, no, I don't even know who they are, lady.
Yeah.
You did not know who the Rolling Stones were?
He's 12 years old at the time.
No, I didn't listen to Rolling Stones. I grew up in East Oakland. We listened to, I knew it was been Al Green. Or
Exactly.
Like that. I knew that. But I just didn't know. I just wasn't to this day, I like music, but I'm just not no big music person. And, you know, I like to listen to it and this and that, but I'm just not. And she was asking me all these questions, and I'm like, okay. And she said, I want you to come see something. So she bring me out the dressing room, and I'm on the side of the stage. So they out there performing, Mick doing this thing, da-da-da. And I was saying, stop the music. We have a special guest in the house. This person gave us our start when we were back in England. He let us open up for him and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, who is this person? I'm looking around. Who are they about to bring out now? And my grandfather's on the other side of the stage, right? And I'm looking at him. It's like he's not even looking at me, like he don't even want to see me right now.
Yeah.
Got his hat on, got his guitar. Now he said, Mr. John, the crowd go crazy. They knew. John Lee Hooker. He come on stage with his guitar. Nah, that was his thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's a shotgun or something.
Yeah.
Like that. And he's playing it. And I'm like, it was just amazing. So then he come back, we get off stage, and he doesn't come to my side. He goes back to the outside like he tried to avoid me. So
Was this planned? Like, did he bring his guitar in with him?
Yeah, he knew it. He knew what he was gonna do.
He knew. He just didn't know.
I didn't know.
So when you guys were walking, he had his guitar with him and everything?
Yeah, but I just didn't really. I was mad because I wasn't at the football game, and we've been talking mess all week in school. So I was upset because now I'm gonna miss the game.
Yeah,
that was a big thing. Street football back then. It was bigger than the Super Bowl, and so so I didn't know. He just had his guitar. I didn't. It just didn't. 12. I was clueless.
Yeah,
a bunch of times I'm clueless, but lady take me back there and stuff. After it's over, we leave and we get in the car, and I'm just like. It's crazy, right? And so we leave out the Coliseum. We driving down 880. I mean, right before we get to about 8th Street exit in Hayward, because he lived in Redwood City. So he's going to get some San Mateo bread. And then I'm like, so granddaddy, are you famous? He driving the car. I'm a motherfucking star. Turned around and kept going. and I look at him like, okay, fine. I'll go to sleep.
Oh,
that was pretty much how our relationship was.
That's wild. Chris, when you ask me anything, I'm turning to you and saying I'm a motherfucking star. keep it moving, man.
Keep it moving.
So it sounds like
that's wild.
I need to like kind of connect some dots.
Yes.
This is an incredible story. But it sounds like your grandfather and you had a very special relationship. Do you have siblings?
Yes. Oh, I'm the oldest grandchild.
Okay.
He was good with all the grandchildren.
Yeah.
But I was the oldest, and I probably was the most calmest out of all the grandkids and cousins and stuff like that. And from a young age, I would hang with him a lot. And at times, like after his second divorce, he was living by himself, and he asked my mother, "Hey, can Glenn come live with me?" And she said, "Yeah," but she gave him certain ground rules,
of course,
because John Lee was not probably the conducive to a young child. Because like you said, John Lee liked the women. And so I lived with him on and off. And so and plus I didn't have a relationship with my father, because my father lived in Detroit, didn't have a relationship with him. So he was more of a father to me. And when I was with him versus my siblings and cousins, they were all just moving, just running around. And I was more of the calm one. And so it was easier for him to deal with me.
Yeah.
And so that's why. And I had a job, because he told me every man must have. You got to make no man get paid for no money. You got to work to eat.
Yeah.
And so my job was when he would pick me up, we would go pick me up on Friday. Saturday morning we would get up and go to the P.O. box, collect all his mail, and we'd go to his little favorite diners and eat. At the time, I didn't know my grandfather couldn't read or write.
Oh.
And so that was my job. I would get the mail and sort it, open it, read it to him, and just place it in things. And to me, I'm just a secretary. That's what I look at it as. And, so with that, my connection with him was just different. It was just, he was my dude.
Yeah. And,
he would get mad at me for things like this, because I wouldn't check in on I wouldn't call, because, I'm a kid. Especially in college, I got real bad in college. Because I just would not call nobody. My mother had to send the police in my house one time to do a wellness check. Yeah.
And this was your mother's
father, yes.
Got it. And about what part of the story did he end up getting married? Was because you said he moved back to, was it Southern California?
No. Okay. He was married to my grandmother in Detroit.
Got it.
They separated, and he went to England. He got married again in the 70s, I think, 70, 80.
Okay.
I have a white grandmother, Millie. Hey, Millie. And so Millie, that was the second wife. And I think Millie I love Millie. Millie was super cool, but John Lee wasn't ready. John Lee was not conducive to no marriage at that point in his life. John Lee was for the streets. But that he lived that lifestyle. He was. Everybody loved him, and him and Millie today died. Millie was a pallbearer at his funeral.
Wow.
So
wow.
So he kept When he came back from Europe, that's when he moved to California.
And did he have your mom when they were in Detroit?
Oh yeah, Detroit, in the 40s, yeah. In
Got
the
it.
40s, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that's what he got to start at. And in the bourbon, and the reason the company is John Lee Hooker Legacy Spirits, but the name of the bourbon brand is Boogie Chillin' Bourbon. And the reason I call it Boogie Chillin' Bourbon, because that was his first hit song in 1948. The first blues song to go #1 on the music charts.
Damn.
And so it was 1948. That was the year my mother was born. So my first release is 1948.
Man.
And so, cool story about that is he worked at, I think, GM for one of the motor companies. And he was a janitor, and he cleaned in, the music came on the radio. Because what he would do is he would leave the factory and go to the club. Back in Detroit, the street was called Hastings Street. That's where all the clubs, night, well, it's a night, like Harlem had them different. This side of Detroit was Hastings. So he would leave the factory and always late to go perform. So a lot of times his band would have to start opening for him. And so he was at work, and music came on the radio, and all the coworkers, oh, Johnny's song on the radio, they going crazy. Oh, and they're happy. And so the supervisor coming in, what's all this noise? Y'all making all this noise? And they said, oh, Johnny's song on the radio. And the supervisor tell him, I don't care if it's on the radio, he's gonna keep cleaning these floors. He needs to be quiet. So he quit right then and there. And so when he told me, I said, oh, that was a crazy boss move, Rene. He said, dumbest thing I ever did. He said, because he said, I had to go tell your grandmama for one, and Maudella, rest in peace, that's my baby. But Maudella was no joke. And so he had to tell her that's the year my mother was born. That was the second child.
Yeah.
And so, but he said, I had to go do it. And he struggled. He said it took him 20-some years to become an overnight success.
That's crazy.
From that time.
Yeah.
That's wild.
That's
because it doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to write. You're talking about a time in the United States of America, highly racial times, and somehow gets out of that, has nothing, and then manages to make his way to Europe, and has the Rolling Stones opening for him.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot make this story up. I mean, now it makes a lot of sense.
And so and I tell people, I'm very passionate about it because, we're all in the same industry. For the last 2 years, I haven't really been working.
Yeah.
I saved my money and I went to launch this because I knew I can do both. In our careers, you have to be all in. And so I had to put it to the side because I really wanted to get this going. And my motivating thing was my like I say, he couldn't read, couldn't write. But when he died, he left a multi-million-dollar estate to his family and royalties for years. And I call them the 9 kids and nieces or nephews, things like that. Those are people he left in his will because he had a will, trust, everything set up for generational wealth.
Wow.
After 20 years, the family, some members of the family, they voted because they can vote after 20 years. They voted to sell the publishing. And when they were selling it, when they were going to sell it, I was just totally against it.
Yeah.
Because once again, when I say I was living with him on and off, a lot of that mail, it was when he was going to court getting his publishing back.
Yeah.
He was fighting to get his stuff back because so much stuff got stolen from him. And he was able to get it back, took a lot of pride in that. And so for them to sell it, I thought they were, slapping in his face.
Of course.
And like I said, I look at it different because he wasn't, some people looked at him as more monetary type thing. He was just, I best way to describe, he was my dude.
Yeah.
He was my dude. I respected him. I know what he came from. And for him to get it back and be able to leave that type of legacy for his family, I know it took pride in him. He took pride with it. And so when they sold it, I voiced my opinion. I said a lot of things to my family. And, we didn't talk to a lot of family after that.
Yep, understood.
And because I've always worked.
Yeah.
And in this industry, and I tell people, we hunters. We only eat what we kill.
Yep.
And so haven't had a regular paycheck in like the last 20 some odd years. The only paycheck I get is what I go earn.
Yep.
And so, and that was kind of his mentality. So for them to sell it, I say it's wrong. So I've been wanting to do this for the longest Because like I said, that was our thing. We would sit up there and drink bourbon and
Mhm.
just talk and tell stories. So as I'm starting a bourbon brand,
I love it.
knew nothing about bourbon, knew nothing about alcohol.
Man.
And I just started doing research and talking to people. Anybody who would listen to me, anybody who would answer my call or email, I asked questions. 2 years doing prep, learning, traveling, chasing a lot of bourbon. And then I connected with Bardstown Bourbon Company because I got access to bourbon from other people. And then I'm talking to people and, I'm talking to different people who telling me, oh, this is how you start a brand. This is what you need to do. In hindsight, they knew nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we could do these type of parties, these launch parties. No, there's so many different layers to this. And so, I'm glad I went the route I went, learning, every little part of it.
Yeah.
And so when I when I met the people from Bardstown, a lady named Susie Garvin, told her my story, what I wanted to do. She said, oh, okay. And I told this guy I was working with at the time, I got Susie. I'm about to talk to Susie Garvin in Bardstown. Oh no, she's not good. She's not gonna reply back to you. We have a $300,000 order in. She's not replying to us, all these different things. And I'm like, well, she answered my email.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's not gonna follow up. And then set a meeting with her team. We talked, and then then me and her had 2 more calls, just her and I. Zoom calls. We're just talking. And I think she was getting to know me and see what I was really wanting to do this for the right reason.
Yeah.
And so with Bardstown, you have to do major contracts, lay down a lot of juice to get up in there. I said, Susie, I might be able to buy 1 or 3 barrels. That's it. And so she said, Glenn, I will sell you 1 or 1,000 barrels, but under one condition. I'm like, oh, here we go. Okay. I paid a little too much sexy on her. Now I got to do all these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she said, you got to come to Kentucky to see the distillery, to see how it's done. And I said, oh, I got to come to Kentucky?
Yeah.
And do bourbon? Let me think about this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so, and I'm glad she did it.
Yeah.
Because I got to go up in there, because I could have just bought barrels and
of course
do it, but to be up in there, to see how it worked, the whole distilling process, going into the rick houses and just learning different things. Okay, you guys tasted juice. It's 100 proof, right? Most time people hear 100 proof, they get scared, right? Oh, it's hot, hot, hot. You tasting, is it hot?
No,
not at all. This is a perfect time for us to taste this and talk through this, man.
Okay.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
And so what I did was talking to the people there. They, I already tasted a bunch of bourbon up to this point. But when I'm there, they just give me a bunch of bourbon.
So good.
Yeah.
They gave me a bunch of bourbon, and they would help me find my palate to find out what I like. And when they were doing a barrel pick, they said, we know the blend you like, we know what you like, but I think you should get your barrels from the bottom part of the rick house. I'm like, why? I'm like, as a child, I've always asked that why question.
Yeah.
And so they're more milder and it's more sweet forward. And the proof doesn't get as high as the ones to the top. Top get the proof go. My barrel, the hottest barrel I had was 109 proof. Yeah, barrels up top that went to 115, 116.
Ooh.
Because the higher in the rick house is hotter.
Yep.
So more absorption, more angel share.
Yep.
And with more water depletion, the alcohol content
exactly.
Goes higher. So I went to the lower part of the rick house, and I knew I was coming down to 100 proof. Because once again, I wanted to make it like a bourbon that he would have drunk from the bottle. If you look at the label, it took us a lot of time on that label design. The bottle shape, I looked at a bunch of different bottle shape, but I wanted a bottle to where, and this is my picture of it, right? Picture my grandfather walking with one hand with his guitar, another hand with a bourbon bottle.
Yeah.
Going to the next show.
That's
because he might have got stiffed on pay that show, and they paid him in liquor. Because it happened a lot.
Man.
A show we get paid. So I wanted a bottle that was like represent something like that. And also talking to a lot of bartenders and asking them, and I spoke to a lot of women bartenders. Talk about bottles, because people get these nice, beautiful bottles. They're not easy to handle. But this bottle, anybody with size hand can grab it, pick it up and pour. Grab it, pick it up and pour. And so those are all the type of things I look at. the label. I wanted a label that's going to stand out. We went with the blue because I looked at, we had different colors marked up. And I'm not going to lie, I was onto that. We had a black label, but I thought it was cool. I love that black label.
Yeah.
But then Susie and then my fiance Quinine was like, "Oh, that blue nice." I'm like, "Oh, I don't know that black." And so then Susie said, "You got to go blue." It said Blues Royalty,
Blues Royalty.
and I like, okay,
That makes all kind of sense.
So I want to ask. So when this all came about, were you doing this? I guess the question is, were you a big bourbon guy before you had this idea? Or was this more because you wanted to do something in honor and tribute of your father, and obviously something that you can also have a footprint in, and then it led to you being a now bourbon connoisseur?
Great question. Thank you. Yes, I was a bourbon head. I was whiskey, a lot of things, in college,
Were you drinking good bourbon in college?
No,
Be honest.
let me tell you what.
Oh man, Chico is flowing in Chico State, man.
I was drinking that $5 port.
Yes, sir.
But no, like when I was 21, okay, going back a long time, 21, Chico State, broke college student.
Yep.
Got a granddad who got a little bit of money. Hey, granddad, I'm turning 21. I'm gonna come visit you. Why you come to visit me? It ain't my birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday. So we had to play this little dance, right? You know why I'm coming out there, old man. Give you my birthday gift. So I go out there, and so when we get there, when I get there, I went by myself because I was going to meet somebody. So I went out there, and I'm trying to go in and out, trying to do a quick little drive-by, and then come see him a couple days later. He said, "You're 21, you can have a drink with the old man now." I'm like, "Well, granddad, hate to break news to you, I had a drink before in life. Not my first time drinking alcohol." He said, "I know it ain't your first time. Your mama told me about you, so I already know." He said, "But you haven't had a drink with me." Yeah. And at the time, it was so annoying, right? It was so annoying. So he said, "You gonna have a drink with me?" So okay, fine. So he poured me some bourbon, and talking about one of my uncles, it was Old Forester. He poured me some bourbon, and I'm looking like, what a Coke and ice.
Yeah.
That's how ain't how you drink it. And I'm like, okay. Oh, here we go then. So okay, I need this money, so let me do this. So grab my cup or glass. Everybody saying happy birthday, Glenn. And I just shoot it. Chico State. I just shoot it. And when I tell you it's the hottest thing I've ever tasted in my life, burnt my chest. I had no hair, but I walked out with like a full taco meat chest hair. And so I'm like, oh, this is nasty. I don't never want this again in my life. And say, in my mind, I'm saying, if you don't want me to drink again, you accomplish what you want to do. And he was looking at me like, I said, I don't want no more. He said, no, you haven't had a drink with me yet. And I said, oh, this is nasty. He said, you the one just, shout it. Then you do. And I said, I don't want no more. He said, fine, you ain't got no more. Okay, good. You can go. All right, talk to you later. Bye. And I'm like, okay, bye. Pour me another one. Because he wanted to have that drink.
Yeah, he did.
And I'm like, okay, fine.
You didn't know what he was getting at right then at all.
I didn't have no clue. Because, and I'm a grandfather, so I understand.
Yeah.
And so he poured another one. He said, okay, this time, boy, just relax. You're always going. You're always moving. I'm like, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I'm shaking like I'm going through withdrawal. Because I got a little friend across the bay in Oakland I'm going to visit. And so they poured, and he said, okay, now just relax. He said, just slow down. He said, let the glass go and just relax, Glenn. I'm like, I'm relaxing. Mm-hmm. No, you're not relaxed. Just relax. And then my uncles and his friends, just relax, Glenn. Just relax. Okay, he said, now just pick it up, smell it. I got it. Now put it down and just relax. He was teaching me to calm down. So then he said, now pick it up. I want you to pick it up. I want you to just do it a little sip, swallow it, and put it down. I'm like, okay, fine. Oh, it ain't that bad. Okay, cool. He said, okay, then let's go again. Picked up again. Oh, and it got better as we went.
Yes.
And then he said, that's life, boy. I said, what you mean that's life? He said, that first drink, you was in a hurry, you was rushing, and you crashed and burned. That second drink, you took your time and you relaxed and you enjoyed it. That's your life. He said, slow down and relax. If you do that, you'll have a nice, pleasant life. Or else if you always be in a hurry, you're going to crash and burn. Slow down. And I had no clue what he was dropping at the time, And like somebody said, he dropped bars on me. But
he did.
At 21, I didn't know. I'm clueless. I'm like, and then I remember about 3 years later when I had my first son, I said, Granddaddy, I get it. I understand. He said, understand what? He said, when you told me about Russian, life crashing, burn, he said, I said that to you? I said, yeah. He said, okay, good. Slow down. You always moving fast, and hung up on me. Yes. And so that's, so from there, and like I said, I would go visit him and we would just sip bourbon. People would send him people would just give him stuff, right? Just give him bourbon.
Yeah.
Did he live by himself?
No, John Lee never lived by himself. He always had people in and out, different girlfriends, band members, because coming up, like I said, he left home early and come back and forth. And so coming up, he was homeless a lot of times, sleeping on floors and different things like that.
A real musician.
Yep.
So a lot of times he had a couple of band members that lived with him. And then like if anybody needed a place to go, that was always thing. And as a young guy, I couldn't understand why you got these people in your house.
Yeah.
You got this big, beautiful house, and all these people walking around here don't look like should be in here. But he told me, he said, when I was coming up, I didn't have nothing. And somebody let me sleep on their couch. Somebody let me sleep in their garage.
That's dope.
So I'm always going to play it forward. And that's how he was. He's a very generous person. And I was like, okay, I get it. And that was just it. But so we would go drink the bourbon. I would go out there, and it was 2 fingers and a splash of water. We pour our drink, and we might sit up and talk for 2 hours. That one drink. He might get halfway through his drink. I get through mine. I end up drinking the rest of his. Yeah. Because I'm in a hurry. I got to go now. And so I was drink bourbon. My drink, I was a Jack dude, drank Jack and Coke. Then when I got fancy, I did Gentleman's Jack.
Gentleman's Jack, yep.
And, even though people say it's a whiskey, but technically it's a bourbon because it's made with corn.
Yep.
So, so I've always liked it. That was always my drink of choice was, bourbon. I went through my stages of cognac to Hennessy, where almost killed me.
As we all did through Oakland.
Yeah. And then he was actually, it was a great thing about it. He sponsored Martell.
Oh, really?
He was Martell. He had an ad for Martell.
Wow.
And so they would send him cases of Martell. And so I would drink that a little bit. But yeah, so bourbon was my drink. I like bourbon.
It probably had to have been, but it's a game changer though, when you went out to the distillery and got to put your hands on it and barrel taste. That's when you probably started to see the dream come into reality.
Yeah. And you know what? Be quite honest, it's still not reality. It still seems surreal. But you're right. Going to drink, the first time I drunk out of a barrel, and they put that whiskey thief up in there, and they poured it, and a little bit of char went in my cup, and I tasted it. I'm like, oh, this is it.
This is it.
This is it. That was, and I've been in real estate and had a good career. I made good money and enjoy it. I say I can never go back to a 9 to 5.
Yep.
But this right here, I've never felt this passion for something. And not only, it might be true a little bit, I like alcohol, I like bourbon, but more so, my goal is to go buy my grandfather's publishing back with this bourbon. So I'm using this as a vehicle to get the legacy back in my family. Because like you said, the legacy lounge. And I think it's very important that I do something, because nobody in my family right now will even think of doing that, because, they just don't see it on that level. To me, it's very important that I have a granddaughter and I have a grandson. And actually, I got 2 granddaughters and 2 grandsons.
Amazing.
And so they need to know how special their great-great-grandfather
was.
Yes. He left an imprint on this world to where, people all around the world still streaming the music. We got the stats from Spotify, and he got so many streams still. So many streams. So many people still doing it. So, and I look at it like this. I got 2 boys, and like these grandkids, they would never really know, because my kids got to meet him when they were real young.
Yep.
He died in 2001. They will never get to meet him and know what he's about. So it's important for me to put that legacy back in my bloodline. And, the company that bought it, they made a business and they bought it. And, I've talked to them. I told them what I want to do. And they're probably like, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this bourbon is my vehicle to do it. I want to get the publishing and this bourbon and throw it back in my family line.
That's amazing. That's a dope ass story, man.
Thank you, sir.
Amazing. two things. I'm really bummed my father passed just under 6 years ago. He was one of the stand-up bass players and everything. He used to travel around. I wish he was around to see this episode. You know what I'm saying? When I'm hearing you talk. And
What was your father's name?
Thomas Jacques.
Let's
Thomas Jacques III. So cheers to that, man. Appreciate it. But, you know, going back to that story, and when he's teaching you about life like that and you don't realize it, and then time elapses and you see it, and it be the reason why you move towards going this route and trying to bring the legacy back to your family, man. Like, what an amazing story, man. Like, I'm so glad I get to hear it. And now, as we try to promote this out there and get the word out to as many people, it makes all the difference in the world when they know the story behind and the heart behind it.
Yeah, and you know, and like I tell people, I got to be me.
Yeah,
and this is something that I think that you know, and I'm not gonna go here because it's something that's really But you know, I think it's very important that, you know, as Black people, a lot of times we lose our legacy over dumb shit, over a dollar. We think it's $1, but it's really only 10 cents.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that I get this back in my family line, and do it. My grandkids and kids and their kids need to know, you know, that hey, you build something, you pass it down.
Yes.
Because you know, I can go ahead and be doing this for me, but it ain't about me. It's about that legacy.
Yeah.
Because my grandfather didn't do it for them. And my grandfather, he came from nothing. And for him to get what he got and do that, if I didn't try and do this, I would be like everybody else and just letting shit go.
Yeah.
And so,
what do you think is going with him looking down at what you're trying to do? What do you think? What do you think he would be thinking?
You know, I talked like his business manager who helped him get part of the stuff back. Tim, Tim's one of my mentors. When I told Tim I wanted to do this, he said that's a great idea because he didn't want them to start publishing. And he said your granddad, Glenn, is looking down. He's happy. But he's also probably saying, what took you so long? Because he's a petty individual. He's a petty individual. So I was like, so I'm like, cool. But yeah, I think he would be happy. He would be happy because once again, people, he had that dog in him.
Yeah.
And I think I got that dog in me.
Yeah.
And that dog in you is when you don't want to move forward. You don't want to do it. You got these bills in front of you. Your deals ain't closing. And everybody says it's easy to give up. But the dog don't give up. And I got that dog. He never gave up. He could have took a job and just been in cruise through life, mediocre. But he chose to go that route. And this is my approach at going after that goal.
Chris, man,
he's got me sold.
This is what it is, man. And I knew when I saw it, your whole spirits has legacy in the name. And I was like, man, I just couldn't wait to hear the story behind it. We obviously knew a little bit about it, but it's different from hearing it in depth like there, man. And the sky's the limit for it, man. We're gonna be two of your biggest fans, seeing you get that, be able to purchase it back for the family and everything like that, man. So I gotta assume, that's a tall task, right? Like that's a tall task.
I quit 3 times a week. 3 times a week I quit. It's hard. It's hard. It's 3 times a week. I can't do this. Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Let me go do some loans and mortgages. I can, it's a lot easier doing that.
Listen, loans too. I quit 3 times a week doing loans too. So especially in the last few years.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
he also quits drinking 3 times a week.
Yeah, I literally just quit drinking on Sunday because I was drinking with him. But
so Chris,
I say it every weekend, man.
So Chris, we drive you to quit drinking. So I need to hang out with you. What's your drink of choice?
Yeah.
Honestly, this is this is a huge compliment to you. And maybe you know what it is too. Maybe it's the season. We're in December.
Oh yeah, it's bourbon season.
Damn, that tasted like dessert. I mean, it just tastes
candy in a bottle.
Candy in a bottle.
So the spirit of choice for me is number 1 is mezcal. Number 2 is tequila.
Okay. We got to convert you, but
well, I think you already did. But I want to circle back seeing because I'm an incredibly emotional man. And when I see your tears, it really cements how real the relationship was. But I just want to say that it totally brought me back down memory lane with my grandfather.
And here's the thing about it. And the reason, because I was saying I want to go there because I have a grandson named Carter. And so Carter's my little mini me. Everybody said, that's my little mini me. But I was in Georgia, and I was talking to these guys. We was about to shoot some content, and I was talking about we did a tasting over at Good Bottle, and I said it was crazy because my youngest son came in there and bought 2 bottles, right? And when he bought the bottles, you got to sign the bottles. Like, what you want me to say? Give my son. He's like, no, you need to sign my bottles. And so I remember we posted it on the story. I said, crazy. I'm signing a bottle of my grandfather's bourbon for my son. And it was crazy. And so then I was thinking about it, and I said, my grandson Carter, one day he's going to be with his friends drinking our bourbon, thinking about his relationship with me. And at that moment, I said, I'm not going to live forever. And I just had to walk out the little interview because I'm like, man, it became surreal at that moment. That it made it real. Because I was like, because when I thought about Carter and me thinking how I think about my grandfather, and at one point, hopefully I make an impression on him that he think about me like that. I'm like, man, you mean I'm not going to live forever? And I got mad. I was like, oh, this ain't part of the plan. I'm supposed to live forever. I'm Peter Pan.
Oh, man.
My grandpa owned a beer distribution company here in Sacramento that he took over from his father. And it's just crazy. Like you tell him hearing the stories of you and your grandpa. And it's something about though, like when you start getting a little bit older, you know what I mean? Like when I was hanging out with my grandfather, it was amazing when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. But the second I started becoming like a young man, like 17, 18, all my grandfather wanted to do was sit down and like talk about like me becoming a man and talking about business. And man, you just sit back and you look at those, you remember those times. Those are the greatest times of your entire life,
And and like I said, at times being immersed in that moment, you think like, oh, okay, whatever, this man. But I get what he was doing, and like I understand it, and I'm so glad that I would go out there and sit with him, and with the heater on 90 degrees, he in a full blown suit because he always wore a suit. He get out of bed, he put a suit on.
Damn.
Oh, John Lee was never gonna be caught out of a suit, and you going over there, and I'm sitting up, and I would go turn the heater down from 90 down to 85. He'd wake up, who turned the heat down? Turn the heat back up. So, but those memories are the greatest memories ever, right there. Just talking to him, and I ain't gonna lie, I grew up in East Oakland, so the thing that made me not do stupid stuff was my grandfather. I didn't want to disappoint him or my mother. I didn't want them to have to come visit me in jail and me doing something like that. So that was my motivation right there. And if he wasn't in my life like that, then the streets probably would have raised me a little bit because I didn't have my father. So, that's why I really, like you said, the relationship. And plus, come on, man, you ain't know yet, but grandkids are way better than kids.
Man.
Way better than kids.
Well, Rene's a really good dad, so he's not going to agree with what I'm about to say, but grandpas are way better than dads.
Yeah. Because
I only say that because I didn't have the best relationship with my dad, and I had a phenomenal relationship with my grandparents.
No, but it's the same similar. I remember when I like I said, I had my first son. My father had died. I think I was about 20. And so, and I had my son and my other grandfather, rest in peace, Sylvester. He came out from Cleveland to visit when I had the baby. And I remember my first child, this boy cried all the time. Man. I don't think he liked me because if I held him, he cried. My brother, John, he passed away. My son born in January of 1991, and my brother died in a car accident in November that same year. But I remember my brother would come over there and hold him. He would stop crying. My brother would walk around like, I don't like him either. And then I remember my grandfather came from, he was a butthole too.
That's great.
But my grandfather came from Cleveland, and he was saying he feel your nervousness. As a first time father, man. And I'm like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I got it. What? And the calmness that he had, he would hold him. He said he feel you tightness.
Yes.
And as a grandfather, he knew he'd been through those struggles.
Of
So
course.
he knew he wasn't gonna break them.
Yeah.
He knew that
Yep.
he gonna have challenges, but he's gonna be able to get through them.
Yep.
And as a father, you think like, oh, if he drink the wrong thing, he's gonna be,
Mm-hmm.
especially first time father.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, grandfathers are better.
Man.
Grandfathers are better.
Oh,
And
man.
so I definitely appreciate.
You're just hoping that it's going to be a ways for.
Yeah, man. I need
Oh, yeah.
some more. I need some more years. My
No.
daughter just turned 18 not too long ago, so she's a senior in high school. So I,
No,
hope
you
I,
got ways.
I
to go.
still hope I still got some time.
Nah, you got some time. Man. You got some
Yeah.
time.
So
But I just think that, and don't get me wrong, I talk about my boys, but I got 2 beautiful boys.
yeah.
And it's funny, I always tell my boys, I'm not your friend. Growing up, I say, I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
I say, I'm not your friend.
Yeah.
If you want a friend, go get a friend. I'm not him.
He'll get a friend. Man.
But it's like you gotta be, and I felt like I had to be that way
yeah.
because you gotta have separation. You can't tell your kids something,
Yeah.
and you trying to be their best friend. Like, well, I want to be your best friend with you,
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No doubt.
you gotta be able to separate it because
Mhm.
your what's name ain't gonna tell you the truth. Your friends ain't always gonna tell you the
Oh,
truth.
no doubt.
But as your father, I need to tell you the truth whether you like it or not.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right,
So
I don't-
uncut. You gotta be that uncut truth.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I did learn to navigate where the brutal honesty didn't have to come with as much of a sting as some of it
Yeah.
is. I've been able to dance around that a little bit
Yeah.
because we all got to deal with our failures,
Yeah,
like and when you're honest with it, because the reality is the one that you're closest to, I don't care if it's your parent, grandparent, whatever it is, it's kind of the person, your subconscious talking to yourself is that voice. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to feed into that, and we'll see, man. It remains to be seen. Got healthy kids. They're doing their thing in softball and baseball, so it's good to go there.
And, and I was I was that dad. I did everything. Like,
Yeah.
my kids played football, and when I was in Georgia, I coached. And then when my son got back, when my youngest son, we moved back here. My youngest son, he went to Intercom, played football. I
really?
walked away. Yeah, I walked away at that moment. So I said, I can't coach you no more. I want to. I'm not gonna be one of them fathers.
Yeah.
'Cause I never want, because like being in Georgia, being in the program was a feeder program for high school, and I saw them parents was. I said, I'm not gonna be that parent up there bothering the high school coach and all that. I'm gonna get him ready.
Yep.
I train them hard, I work them out hard.
Mm-hmm.
So when he get up there, I told the coach, say, I'm not gonna be the ones up in here. If I got a disagreement with you, I will call you and we will talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Get
gonna be
away from it.
yeah, I'm not gonna be at your practice. How do you, no, I'm not gonna be in stand. Oh, I ain't playing my son. My son ain't playing. He ain't playing for a reason. And I addressed him on that. So I enjoyed the whole little thing. I did a whole
Amazing.
travel football, driving from here to LA for
Yeah.
tournaments, Arizona, Washington, visiting, doing college visits up at Washington State, Washington.
Yeah.
Because he got recruited by a few different schools, and he ended up going to Sac State.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I think it was perfect because one, it was free.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. No doubt.
Free. And he got to play and do what he wanted to do. So
Did you say that you went to Intercom?
when they're come, yeah.
Okay, my kids go to Intercom right now, man.
Oh.
This is a small world. Like it's just everything keep popping up, and I'm like, man.
I'm the Thomas, 100%.
Yeah, so me too.
When I moved from,
I didn't know.
when I moved from Oakland,
You guys might be neighbors.
Look, when I moved from Oakland, I moved up here from '93.
Yeah.
And I was working at a company called MCI.
Yes.
MCI. Many changes instantly, but I was working at MCI and over in the Thomas over off West El Camino. And I got my first apartment over on the other side of I-5 in the little apartments with a little lake in the middle. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly.
so I've never lived anywhere in Sacramento other than the Thomas. I left, they transferred me to South Carolina for 3 years, came back, moved to the Thomas.
Yeah.
Moved to Georgia for 5 years, came back, moved to the Thomas.
Man.
I was buying a new house. After my divorce, I was buying a new house. I looked in Roseville, Folsom, Elk Grove. Natomas.
Natomas. To me, it was the closest place to Oakland. It was so easy to get back to Oakland. That's why.
That's it right there. I'm 20 minutes from Roseville. I'm 20 minutes from Folsom.
Yeah.
20 minutes to Elk Grove, and it's right off the freeway going over.
That's what I'm
Because you're
saying.
driving from the Bay. Once you hit that causeway,
Yeah.
I know I got a few more minutes.
Yeah,
home.
exactly.
But if you live in Roseville, I got
man.
another 30 minutes. Folsom, I got another 30 minutes. Elk Grove, so the Thomas right by the airport. Hey,
Yeah.
the Thomas is me.
I'm in Westlake right now, man. So
I'm in West Shore.
are you serious? We are neighbors.
We're
man.
neighbors.
This is wild. This is wild.
He
He sold my house to me.
Yeah, I bought a new build over there in what was it? 2017? Yeah, 2017.
That's
Over right
wild.
over there, right off in the Thomas Century.
That's wild,
Yeah,
man.
small
So
world.
we really are.
Everything's always linked back to Oakland, which I have a passion for.
Let's ask him the question on the name of the podcast.
I wanted the name of the podcast to be From Oakland to Sacktown.
From the fact that, oh, okay.
And Rene, so how do I say this politely? A lot of times he identifies with his lighter side.
I don't want it to hold me
So
back.
let me
I don't like to be put in a box,
let me tell you
man.
this. Hey,
You know
hey,
what I'm saying?
Glenn, let me tell you this. Now that we're friends, all right?
We friends, we boys. Huh?
I'm hella white on the outside.
Okay.
I'm hella black on the inside.
You blacker than him.
So his vehicle that he drives
Mhm.
is an all black Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
What color do you think the interior is?
White.
Yep.
All black on the outside, white on the inside.
Hey,
You know.
yeah, no, it's funny. Like on social media, like when I do my hashtag,
Yeah.
I do a hashtag just a kid from Oakland.
Yeah, yeah.
I just put that out there, just a kid from Oakland.
I love it. I love it. But we're
Are
both
you
in the-
from? I'm sorry, Chris. You from original Sac?
I'm from Sac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's just the whole backstory is when I met Rene,
Mhm.
we met about 7-8 years ago, and you know, the first time I met him, he was in a full suit. He's a mortgage loan officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't know shit about my backstory. The second I found out that he was from Oakland and he played hoops, I was like, man, I don't give a fuck about your mortgage shit. Let's talk about your Oakland days, man. That's got to be way more exciting than this shit.
And like listen to podcasts. You went to St. Joe's.
Yeah, I went to St. Joe's. So
Yeah.
I told you my brother
Yeah.
got in trouble. He went to Odell, but graduated from Skyline. He was getting in trouble, so my parents took me right out of at a public school. I was at Thornhill up there. So Thornhill, Montera, Skyline is where
Yeah, yeah.
everybody kind of went. So that was going to be my route. Took me out, went to St. Lawrence O'Toole right there off of High Street. That's where the house I grew up in is still there.
Mhm.
My grandma's on the same street still to this day
Mhm.
and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I was a basketball guy, so
Yeah.
St. Joe's was the basketball.
Yeah,
school.
yeah. Yeah, I remember the story. The guest, I cannot remember the guest name, but he's the one who owned Roos and whatever.
Oh yeah.
He was, I heard.
Oh, Rob Archie?
Rob Archie,
The
yeah.
story you talk about using a coach's office.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Jay Kidd came in and gave him the keys.
Yeah, that's the one, man.
Yeah,
that was
we got to link you to Rob, man.
yeah, no question on that because Rob has incredible spots, man. And we all frequent them and
Oh,
everything like that.
You've been to the Roost because I saw.
I'm in the Roos. Yeah.
Okay.
In the Roos?
Yeah. And I was just talking to the bar manager over there because he said, well, you want, because I've been, once again, nobody gonna sell me but me.
Yeah.
And I've been hounding this. Let's do something. I had to hound them to get up in there.
Yeah.
And once I got up in there, I'm not just content being up in there. I want to be on the menu.
Yeah.
We need to get on the menu. And he'll say, well, I said, let's talk about doing something. Let's do a pairing, whatever.
Yeah.
So, we working on that. I'm gonna, to me, I have to push this harder than anything else I pushed in my life
You do.
because it means more.
You do.
But
yeah.
no, I would definitely love to meet him. And it's funny, Sacramento. I remember I just thought, man, when I first moved up here, it was cool, but I'm like, I think I want to go back to Oakland, man. It's so I can't go.
I can't. No.
Yeah.
As much as I love where I grew up,
Yeah.
man, it ain't it right now,
Yeah.
man. And I'm happy to be up here. There's a lot of people up here from down there anyway, so I don't really feel like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gone. But I just want to be you can have that hustler mentality and do the right things up here and go further is
Yeah.
all that I'm saying.
Yeah.
A lot of our friends growing up, I always used to look at them sideways. Like if you put that same effort in something to legit,
Yeah.
you would be a monster.
Yeah.
And so, it's tough down there. Like I said, my grandma's still down there, but raising the kids, opening a brand,
Yeah.
being a mortgage person, like this is where it's at. I
Not
really
good.
enjoy being here.
Not getting your car stolen. I mean,
Yeah,
just like
broken
certain
into-
things.
certain things. But, it was funny. Like when I moved up here in '93, I remember, like I was in the apartments I stay at over there.
Mhm.
I remember I was walking from my apartments to this little corner, a little store over off of. It's off of West El Camino, or whatever that Jack in the Box.
Okay, yeah.
with mountains.
Yep.
So I'm walking to the store, and I remember I called my friend Steph. I said, "Man, guess what? I'm walking to the store.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
He said, "You walking to the store?" I said, "I'm walking to the store." And
Wait a minute. Even you wouldn't walk to the store in Oakland?
Yeah, I walk to the store, but if you get your head on a swivel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you were like
attention.
And see, I grew up where I grew up on a street called Arthur Street, and it was like a little corner. And this is part of the reason why I moved to Sacramento, because I had my son, and I was that person. So I'm never leaving Oakland.
Yeah.
When I started working in a company called Franklin Templeton,
oh yeah.
I was in management trainee program.
Yep.
I'm cool. I'm had a little apartment by the lake. You couldn't tell me nothing. My mother still lived on 68th and Arthur. So I remember one day I'm at her house. I'm going to go to the store. I'm walking around the corner to the store. I mean, this little boy, I say, "What's up, man? You looking?" I'm like, "No, man, I ain't looking." And he was trying to, I got boy and girl, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" And I thought, and my son was like 8 months, 9 months old at the time. I said, "Shit, this could be my son."
Oh my goodness.
And that was when I said, "Okay, I need to get up out of here."
Yeah, no doubt.
Because it was changing. Because this boy might have been 12,
Yeah.
13. And it just, and growing up in it, it didn't
Correct.
bother me within it. But
Exactly.
when I came back into it and I had a child, I'm like, "Oh man, this is not
100%.
gonna work."
100%.
I said, "He won't make it out."
Yeah.
Because, my younger brother died in a car accident. Because I'm the oldest. My brother under me, he did some stuff, went to jail for years. And I was lucky to make it. I had
Yeah.
friends that, the whole thing, 18.
Yeah.
We celebrated 18, 21-year-old birthdays.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't make it.
Yeah.
And so I said, "You know what? He ain't gonna be able to make it."
Mm-hmm.
And so Sacramento, it was cool. I took a job up here, and I like it. It's calm. It's the biggest thing I noticed I moved to Sacramento. A lot of restaurants.
Yeah, it is. It is.
A lot of
And I ain't got no problem with it. I love it.
Yeah,
I love it, man.
yeah.
But actually, the food scene down in Oakland is really good.
It came up, but it wasn't like that before.
It wasn't like that.
But now,
Thank you.
it's like Oakland, one of the top 10 cities in the United States for food now.
I mean, if you technically want like maybe the best Mexican food damn near in California, you go to Oakland.
Oh, no doubt.
Oh, no. Remember Talking to Town?
Oh, talking to
You
I
go.
haven't heard that in so long.
Talking to Town.
But the flea markets. There's like an iconic flea market in Oakland. I've never been. I've driven by it. They got these.
The one off the freeway by
Yep.
Yeah.
They got
by
these
the Coliseum.
a couple different taco stands out there.
Talking to Town, High Street.
Yep.
And, I'm calling it East 14th. Ain't international.
Yeah, it'll never be international
It's
to me.
East 14th. Right there on High Street, and man,
High
the
Street?
back of the little back. It was on back High Street, right?
So yeah, it was
High-
it was on the top of High Street. I was even just talking about Taco Zamorano, the one on East 14th and High Street,
Yeah.
and everything like that. I mean, just growing up. So sorry, man. We reminiscing here.
Oh look, and remember in the middle of the night, like late at night,
Yeah.
you find a food truck.
man.
I didn't need to see no safety. What was the health things? AB. I didn't need that.
We
Cause
listen,
that lady back on behind that grill who making my burrito. Hey, I'm trusting her more than I'm trusting that restaurant.
we were risking our life just to stand in line in the middle of the night on East 14th. So I wasn't worried about the health
Yeah.
issue. I just wanted my burrito to get home.
Man, freaks, bro. Man, Quick Way. I remember one night we was at
Quick
Quick
Way.
Way. We had Quick Way at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That sounds like a 7-Eleven. What's quick?
Quick Way.
The best greasiest fries you
Greasiest
never had
fries.
in your life is
Yeah, burger,
joint.
grease, everything.
Is it still in existence?
I hope not.
No, it's not. It was
They probably get
by
mad.
the theater right there.
You know the restaurant that I really want to go to that I haven't been, and super sad just hearing the story with his place burning down. But have you been to Horn Barbecue?
Yeah, Horn. You got a new place though.
Yeah, he did get
Yeah.
a new place.
Yeah.
It's
So-
right over there. What is it? Right down by the police station. Like what is it, 8th
Oh,
Street somewhere.
good
over
for
there.
him. He
Yeah.
went by the police station.
Wait, no, actually, because it's right over there by the Marriott. It's right over there.
Uh-huh.
Good food.
He's got a chicken spot too.
Yeah, but you know
we were literally going down there for something. Was that the golf thing at the
To golf at the
Coliseum?
Oakland Coliseum.
And we were going to go to Horn Barbecue, and it had burnt down like 9 days before we were going down. I was
Well,
hella mad.
and say the thing, and like I said, I like to reminisce.
Yeah.
So Flint's closed. I still
Flint's,
like
oh,
every time I go to Oakland. For one point, I was always going to E&J.
Yes,
Jones,
sir. Yes, sir.
and get me some. And the old Fruitville location closed and moved over onto MacArthur.
Yep.
Over there, probably by your grandmother, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so the one over at Jacqueline Square, cool. But I like that one. I like the one over there,
Oh yeah.
or the one over in University.
Yep.
I like the ones where they
exactly.
ain't trying to be fancy. You just
Yep.
come up in there. You might get cussed out for not giving you an order the proper way.
Love
But
it.
you're gonna walk. It's almost like going to like what the Seinfeld show.
Yeah.
Nazi.
I'm so happy to hear this. I'm sorry. This ain't for y'all listening. This for us right now, man.
yeah. But no, I mean, like I said, Oakland, it's always gonna be, the place that made me. It made
For
me
sure.
to where I know life ain't easy and ain't supposed to be easy. Ain't easy for
Mhm.
nobody. Even the people who born with the golden spoon in their mouth, life ain't easy for them.
Correct.
They got issues, but it tells you that you can't give up. You
Yeah.
already know you're gonna be hard,
Yep.
so you're not gonna give up. You're gonna keep pushing.
I love it. And that honestly, I wanted to get back on some of the entrepreneur stuff.
Yeah.
And here, that's the baseline of it all. That's why you have that dog in you, because
Yeah.
you grew up that way. With that being said, you launched this company. What's one thing that you just didn't expect that's a little bit harder than you expected when you launched this thing, man? How many can you name?
Distribution. Because this liquor is a 3-tier system.
Uh-huh.
And you have to get with a distributor to get in these different locations. And so in California, I've been having a hard time getting a distributor.
Uh-huh.
I've talked to a couple different distributors who I could have got in with, just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
But so I'm working with a company where it allows me to self-distribute.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm my own sales.
Yeah, I love it.
And but in other states, I got distribution out there. But it's
Mhm.
all about distribution. Find a partner who's going to see the vision with you.
Mhm.
I have a high price point, so my price point $99,
Mhm.
and people say, "Oh, you should lower your price." And I'm like, "Why?
Yeah.
If I lower the price, I can't make no more.
Yeah.
I can't get my bourbon is a little more expensive because the process it goes through is higher quality. I can go, I tell people I could have went out and bought some, during the process when I was dealing with these quote unquote consultants. I could have got some cheap bourbon,
Yeah.
threw a
Yeah.
label on there. But why? Am I doing that? I'm not. I want something on his standard. My grandfather spent a lot of time building his legacy, and I was not going to throw some cheap juice in a bottle.
Yeah.
Like fill the label. My
Mhm.
label is, like if you look in the front,
Yes.
look underneath the label. Look in the back of the John. Look what's behind it.
Man.
You see the
Yep.
guitar?
Yep, I see it.
So all those type of details, I went into something because I wanted something premium. Because it's not gonna be made for everybody, and I'm good with that.
I love it. And you're made for people like us that appreciate,
Yeah.
and that's what it should be. And that's a testament. You could never go do this on a cheap and really hold his legacy.
Yeah.
You could never do
Can never
that.
do it, And it was funny. I hang out with I got a bunch of friends, and these are some of the most pettiest individuals around. All of them are very successful
Yeah.
men, and they, very supportive, but they petty.
Yeah.
Petty.
I love it.
And so when I was telling them about it, they're very encouraging, all of that. And I remember when I first got a bottle, right? January 31st, got a bottle. And I brought it back and I called them and said, we're going to go to the lounge. I want to have a tasting with you guys, right?
Mhm.
And they've been hearing this for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Me talking in group text and they like, I know they probably like, man, I'm tired of hearing about this bourbon. You ain't going to do whatever. But, it was always supportive. And when we tasted it, right, I took a 6-pack up there.
Mm.
And I poured it, we tasted. And then for these petty individuals to say, man, this is good. You did good, bro. And we sat up there for like 3 hours in the cigar lounge, just drinking this. And we talking about stories, family. So that's what I want. I want people, when you drinking this, to think about your grandfather, the times you had with him. I want you to remember about your father
Mhm.
and in that. And so, it's not meant to be throwing some ice and
Yeah.
Coke and drunk fast. It's meant to be, like my grandfather said, you have to slow down. And drinking it, sipping it, well, Chris ain't slowing down, but you need to.
He's not. And I'll tell you this, man. Real talk. This is not his jam. He likes it.
Yeah.
If he's drinking it, You've never gone for.
I'm like a 12-year-old. He's like, look, he likes it.
Mikey, he likes it.
I'm just saying, there's no fluff in here. We wouldn't say that
Oh,
to
hell
the
no.
people that's out here just to pump it up. This stuff is great, man.
Yeah, it's incredible.
No,
I
thank
want to wrap my head around it just because I'm putting all the pieces together. The distillery is Bardstown.
Yeah, Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Have you heard of Bardstown?
I've heard of it.
Okay, because I mean,
Bardstown-
they're huge.
Bardstown, the #1 whiskey distillery of 2023.
That's how big they are. Like I've seen them.
Man, I didn't know that.
I'm still like in the infant stages of learning more about bourbon and whiskey and all that. But I know that I've seen them all on Jason's page.
Yeah.
Is this considered a single barrel? Or no? No. Okay.
Here you go. Okay. This right here is, it's not a blend. To me, I think blends are when you take one mash field, mix with another. This is just me taking a bunch of barrels of the same mash field, putting them together, get a consistent taste. We proofed it down. Because I think each barrel is probably about 100, between 100 and 109 proof. We blended them all together and they proof it down to 100. Because to me, like I said, once again, I want a tradition. Because when bourbon first came back after the Prohibition, bottled and bond was the thing. It had to be 100 proof, bottled and bond. This is technically bottled and bond, but that's the part I missed. I didn't know. And so the guy at the distillery said, oh, Glenn, you bottle and bond, you can throw it on there. I said, I can't. I called my designer. Hey, what about bottle and bond? She said, I can do it. It'll be about 3 weeks. What? And then I got pushed back. I would have got pushed back in printing. I said, you know what? We do bottle and bond next time.
Yeah.
But this right here is a blend of a bunch of barrels, the same mash field. You mix them together to get a consistent. This could more considered small batch.
And these are small batch, and these are all because it said age 4 years, so
At least 40 years. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
at least 4 years. Got it. Amazing.
And like on next one, I'm taking the age statement off. Like I said, once again, when you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah.
And so anything over 4 years, you don't have to put an age statement. People like when it's 6, 7 year. People like to put that 6, 7 year age statement on there. I had the same bourbon, had the opportunity to get the same bourbon in 6 years. I like the 4 year better.
Yeah.
It is what, because age to me, a lot of times, stuff stays in barrels sometimes because it's not that good. And so to me, this was good because you never know what's going on. The longer it stays in that barrel, the more it has a chance to change the profile.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything can happen. And so when you speak of single barrels, next year, not really going to go, I can't go into it right now, but next year I'm doing 4 single barrels. 4 single barrels, honoring my grandfather. And later on, when I do it, I'll let you guys know.
Let's go.
But it's going to be 4 single barrels, and I'm going to come out in April, because we announced the brand in April. So I'm going to come out with another. 1948 always going to be the base, because to me, it pays homage to not only my grandfather's boogie chillin', also my mother. I'm a mama's boy.
Of course.
So it paid 1948 years she was born. So that's it. So we're going to come out with another one, more of a higher rye. Because this right here is 75. I'm going to get nerdy for you now.
Love it.
75 corn, 15 rye, 10 malted barley. So, and I always say corn is just sweet. The bourbon, to be bourbon, has to be 51%.
Yep.
51% corn. Has to be new American oak charred barrel. Bourbon is the only spirit that's truly American only. And so when you asked me earlier about bourbon, I like to drink bourbon. I could have did a whiskey, but I had to do a bourbon. My grandfather, John Lee Hooker, is an American legend. He's an American icon. Bourbon is the only true American spirit. So why not pick the legend and the only true American spirit?
Let's go.
And that's what went into this thought process of doing it like that.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Man, absolute fire, man. All right, man.
And I feel like y'all make me feel like I'm in my cigar lounge.
Hey,
It's just like it's so
It's why it's in the lounge, baby.
It's so cool.
Man, and you already kind of touched on it, but man, I like to hear, what does this look like 5 years from now from you? No.
I mean, my scale, like next year I'm gonna come out with my second release.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to do 2 SKUs or 2 releases. And then I actually listened to people who've been doing this a long time. And I actually listened after talking to after 12 people giving me the same answer, I finally decided, okay, they might know what they're talking about. They said, get one Glen and work that for a year.
Yeah.
Then next year you come out with another one. And so, I want to come out with another one. I'm going to come out with a high rye. I'm coming out with different things. And like different releases, I'm going to pay homage to his songs. So one might be, Boom Boom. I might do a Boom Boom Bourbon. That's the most famous song right there.
That's
But
awesome.
Boom Boom, but for me to do Boom Boom, I'm not gonna do Boom Boom until I find that another one like this, but just more like
It's gonna tell you.
and it's gonna be hot.
Tell you.
Probably Boom Boom won't be 100 proof, most likely. Boom Boom is probably gonna be cast strength. It's gonna be high. It's probably gonna be, I gotta find something like in the 120s.
Man.
Because that song is so iconic.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Like I tell people, you hear NCIS New Orleans.
Yeah.
That's when that come on. So they do the thing, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's his song right there.
Wait, they use his song?
Yeah.
NCIS New Orleans. Yeah.
That's wild.
And everybody remade it and just the boom, boom. So I want to do that long term. I want to do a tasting room.
Yes.
I want to do a tasting room. Distillery. I don't know if I want to do a distillery. I told my kids, if y'all be all right, because my succession plan is my grandson. Until my kids prove me wrong. Until my kids prove my 14-year-old grandson is my succession plan. So I got to hold out until he gets 21, and they have to prove the way. Because I think when you give stuff, and I've seen it with my aunties and uncles, you give people stuff they don't appreciate.
Yeah.
So if I get my grandson as my succession plan, I know he gonna roll with it. But my kids, I told them, I said, y'all get y'all stuff ready and y'all want to do it. If y'all want to build a distillery, y'all can do that. I don't want that headache. Because build a distillery is gonna take you 2 years to build this thing, and then 4 years to get some juice out of there. So 6 years to get some juice out of there, if you're lucky.
Yes.
So I want to do a tasting room. And I envision a tasting room to be, this 1948 and all the other things up there. You come in and get the whole experience. I want a place where you got a little music lounge. Where artists can come in there, new artists who are trying to make it, because, give them play homage to them. Give them a place where they can come play the music. And then also have it like a little museum honoring my grandfather, because the stuff is all over the place.
Yeah.
He one of the things in his will, he wanted his stuff, because he knew his family, but he didn't know they were going to do it, but he didn't want them to be able to sell it.
Yeah.
So it has to go to museums or in his own museum. And so I would like to have a tasting room / lounge / museum honoring him. And I laugh and tell people, where do you think I want to put this at? Where do you think where do you think a good place to put it at?
Oh, shit.
Just name a city. He's from Detroit. You got Nashville music, you got Kentucky, you got all different places. Mississippi. What place you think I want to put it at?
Man,
you're not going to
lost.
No, I want to put one in Napa.
Napa.
Hell yeah, we love Napa.
Exactly.
Because think about it.
Let's go.
People go to Napa and they love. There's always one person who's a wine person, there's always a whiskey person. and people say, "Oh, the wife like wine, the husband like whiskey." No, man. Majority of the time, it's the husband like wine, and the whiskey is the woman.
You serious? That's what.
I mean, really, we've been out there, and it's the women who like whiskey.
Or like us, we go for the wine, and then when we're done with the wine, then we'll start with a whiskey.
And so, but no, I want to do somewhere like that, and also,
that's
Detroit.
An amazing place. I'm sorry, before you just moved, that would be freaking amazing, man.
Yeah, because I'm down, like down there, like I'm in Napa Cigar. You ever go to Napa Cigar?
Yeah,
I'm up in there.
Actually, is that?
And they
yep, from Refuge.
In Napa Cigar, they sell a lot of my bourbon up in there. People come in there, they got it sitting right when you walk in.
You know the owner over there, man.
They got the bottle sitting right up there. People come in, they tell my story. So I think Napa, people say Napa. I'm like, yeah, because one, you need foot traffic.
Yep.
Anytime you do something like that, foot traffic.
And that's
Napa
where it is.
Foot traffic. Sacramento's cool. You ain't gonna get that foot traffic. It won't be iconic.
Nope.
San Francisco, just a hot mess out there.
Yep.
Nobody goes to San Francisco no more after 4 o'clock. It's dead.
Yeah.
So I think Napa would be great. I think Detroit. Got to be Detroit, because I want to do something in Detroit because that's where he was at.
Yep.
Have you guys been to Detroit lately?
No.
Yeah, I have, because
downtown Detroit, UWM.
UWM. I go out there because of that. So you know, I just was out there a month ago.
Yeah, I missed my trip. I was supposed to go. But downtown Detroit. Did you go hang out downtown?
I didn't hang out. My rep took us where it was. God, it wasn't downtown.
Churchill. Did they take you Churchill?
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yep.
But got it when you go. Stay an extra day and go spend the afternoon, spend the day in downtown Detroit. You know, they got all 4 sports teams downtown within a mile of each other.
Is it within a mile?
Mile
That's
within each other.
wild.
And they got a great cigar lounge down there, and there's always stuff going. Detroit at 1 o'clock in the morning, I feel so safe walking down the streets in downtown Detroit.
I love hearing it,
And
man.
it's crazy. And you think Detroit, the downtown Detroit is growing. It's crazy. And so I have a foundation too. I started a foundation. My grandfather died in 2000 in January of 2001. And I started a foundation for him in December of that same year. And we've been going on for all these years. And so we're looking to move our foundation to Detroit, part of it, do a chapter there. And I think to do that in Detroit, because Hastings Street is gone, it's been gentrified. Hastings Street is gone, but I think they named the street after him out there. We're talking about renaming their little music festival after him. But I think of Detroit, I think Nashville or Memphis. So this is something that when I'm talking to people, I see this as multiple places.
Yeah.
I can see it in Kentucky. You've been to Kentucky? You did a tour in Kentucky?
Why don't you just stick with the Napa idea?
No, Napa cool, but I visit like Napa, Nashville or Memphis, Kentucky, Michigan. And it's something that you box it up and go.
I love it. We not putting no limits on nothing in the lounge, man.
I'm just trying to be selfish, man. I know Napa's only a 1 hour drive from here.
No, bro. Hey, Chris,
I'm with you there.
I'm with you on that Napa. Like anytime, because I'm one of them Marriott. I used to be at Titanium Elite, but then they dropped me down. Excuse me.
You're a Bonvoy member?
No. I used to be Ambassador Elite. That's the highest level. But I could, I can't hit that 21K mark no more.
Man.
But so I'm a Titanium, so I'm a Marriott guy. So anytime I get a good rate at Marriott, we were just there a couple weeks ago. I found a good rate, went to the Westin.
Yeah.
And we stayed out there a couple days. The Marriott. So I'm like you. I love anytime y'all want to go Napa, let me know. We can come down.
That sounds like a plan. We love it.
And we have another place that we can get you. Speaking of Napa, I can probably say easily get you into their restaurant. Have you heard of Brasswood?
No, I haven't heard of Brasswood.
So we're really good friends with the owner. He's a client of mine. And the winemaker there is Angelina Mondavi. Shout out to Angelina.
Oh, Mondavi, wow, okay.
Oh, yep.
He gonna drop a name on like Mondavi.
Angelina's the best, man.
So our mutual buddy, we've had him on the podcast. We took our podcast to Brasswood Winery. So they have an incredible restaurant with a full bar. The bar is amazing. Every time we go to the restaurant, if it's just a couple of us, we'll just sit at the bar.
Yeah.
They do wedding events. Top tier winery in St. Helena.
Oh, okay. I like St. Helena. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't a big, growing up in Oakland, I wasn't a big wine person. Going to Napa.
Carlos Rossi wine. I mean,
Carlos Rossi. Yeah, that's about it. And that's probably made down in Tijuana somewhere. But
that's not out of Vallejo from E40. I'm just playing. I'm just
E40 maybe. But no, it's so funny. Like I like wine, but I'm not a big wine drinker.
Yeah.
Wine affects my body different. If I drink too much wine, a couple glasses of wine, I'm giddy, I'm running around.
Yeah.
But I can sit and drink bourbon all day and just chill. Tequila knocks me down.
Does it?
A couple margaritas.
Man.
I'm running around, excuse my language, I don't feel nobody, white girl wasting in college off tequila. But it does something to me.
Yeah.
But bourbon, it is my soft spot.
I love it.
But I go to Napa, I love Old Carter whiskey?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Bourbon?
Mm-hmm.
I met Mark Carter, and he saw my bottle at Rocco's. And he saw it over at Rocco's, and he was like, oh, ask him about it. And then he had to ask his other guy, who was a mutual friend. He said, oh, who's this guy, Glenn? Da-da. And he introduced. So I met Mark Carter in Kentucky, and he was like, oh, I like your bourbon. So it was crazy. Mark
That's
Carter.
awesome, man.
And he also, Mark Carter got a winery, too, up in Calistoga. So he invited us to the winery. His bottle started like $2.50 a bottle.
Oof.
And
what's the name of the winery?
Carter Cellars.
I've never had it. No, we love wine.
Carter Cellars.
I guarantee it's good.
Rocco's did a couple of barrel picks with him up there, and it started like 200. And so went up there. He invited me up there, and so I've done wine tasting, but until you see the wine pouring out from the thing right there, and they sticking a plastic jug up under there, taking it and pouring it in your cup. And then they tell you, oh, these grapes, right? A ton of grapes cost 50K. And then they take you over to the barrels that's in and start pulling out the barrel, filling up your glass with it. I'm like, man, so it's drunk different.
It's different out there.
It's
man.
different.
That's a rich people sport.
That is definitely a rich people's sport.
They're not
But-
even making money off of that wine, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. But it was crazy thing about it. And so my grandson's name is Carter.
Uh-huh.
And so the lady, oh, you got to get a bottle. And I got to call her. So Carter, my son's born in 2010.
Uh-huh.
And I bought a Carter Cellars for 2010. And so I bought it. And so my grandson turns 21. I'm going to make him drink this bottle of wine with me. By then, it'd be worth thousands of dollars because right now they gave it to me at cost. But now I looked it up online. It was going for like $1,000,
Man.
like 2010. So, and she told me about the whole thing about the glass and all this. So it got a lifespan of 25 years on the bottle.
Oh, yeah.
So when he turned 21.
Oh, and it's going to get good as it continues to age.
And so at 21, at first I said, I'm giving it to him and let him choice if you want to drink it or sell it. I'm like, no, I'm selling. I'm drinking this. So at 21, my grandfather had that glass of bourbon with me. I'm gonna break open a 2010 bottle of Carter Cellars with my grandson Carter.
That is so good.
And that was it.
That is so.
Just make sure there's like nice steak in front of it.
Oh yeah. You gotta be a whole. Got to be a whole thing.
Yeah.
I gotta go somewhere and pay the corkage on this, and we gotta just do it.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
You can't just do it at the house. Yeah.
Amazing.
I can pour the bourbon down and so, and it's fun. It's so funny. I don't even know if he's gonna be a drinker.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how he is. He's such a focused young man. He's not into the whole little being popular and all that. So I'm like, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
If he's gonna drink, I'm like, am I gonna be the one who'll be turning my grandchild out? No.
Yeah.
Well, Glenn, before we wrap up,
Mhm.
what does legacy mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
Legacy is honoring the ones before you who did the dirty work so you can live your comfortable life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say comfortable life, it ain't necessarily living in a big fancy house. It's just a life. My grandfather, 13, 14, left home, moved up, ran away to Memphis from Mississippi. He did all the hard work. He did the lifting. So now I can lift now for my grandchild.
Mm.
Like I said, the idea of legacy is so when I'm not here, my grandson is drinking our product, running our company, telling his grandkids and his son about his granddaddy who wanted to honor his grandfather. So to me, legacy is something that is almost obligated. I think it should be obligated. But unfortunately, a lot of us don't look at it that way. We caught up in this microwave society that we're in. Everybody want everything quick, but legacy takes time. And we talk like I said to Mary, but look at Hilton, look at Rock. People, it take years. And let's go to Bourbon, Jim Beam and them,
Mm-hmm.
the Russell family,
Mm-hmm.
the Brown Foreman families. His legacy is when it's not about you thinking about the future. And because we only here for a short period of time, we need to enjoy it and make it better. I need to make it better for the people who come after me.
And having it live on well after you're gone.
Well, not to me, yeah.
Well said, man.
Man, your grandfather would be so proud, man. Glenn, I appreciate you joining us in the lounge, man. Had a blast with you. Thank you so much, man.
I'd like to thank you too for allowing me to come in here and tell my story. Because, a lot of times people, if you're not, social media is famous or this and that, a lot of times people don't want to deal with you. But I appreciate you guys for seeing my vision. Because, like I tell somebody, this guy was kind of like a jerk one day. I said, okay, yeah, cool. Talk to me in 3 years.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years. It's going to be different. And I said, the price goes up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know where it's going to be.
Let's go.
I've already seen it.
Let's go.
I've already seen this vision already. And, I'm glad I was able to talk about it with you guys. Thank you.
I love it, man.
Especially y'all, my brothers in real estate.
Let's go.
We hunters. We out here doing this craziness in this market.
I love it. I love it, man. Appreciate you so much, man. All right, y'all. We out.